All right, so this morning we're heading up into the mountains to work on a cabin. The original roof was basically made out of sawn logs. Actually, they weren't even sawn, they were just cut on each end, and then that was basically utilized as their roof rafters. So the crew came in, demoed all that out. Now what we're left with is some of the stone bearing walls. And so now we need to frame some new pony walls, set a couple ridge beams, and then we're gonna frame a proper modern roof on this mountain cabin. So yeah, let's get up there. This is the actual foundation, which I think is original to this building. Who even knows how old this thing is? We're gonna use these columns as our control points. We'll build some bearing walls and start figuring out what we need to do to get this roof going. So we checked this column. This is our high spot for this side of the house. It's like an inch higher than the other side, which is perfect. It's not, it's really bad. All right, I'm going 6. Just got this crow's foot right there. Fairly decent. Total sweetheart. We didn't. Let's see just how square we aren't. It's not bad, actually. Could be worse? Yeah, it could be much worse. So this is our king stud. Right now, we just have it pressure nailed into the brick or stone, whatever we want to call it, because we don't have our epoxy anchors yet. But that's just to hold it right for now so we can keep framing. This is gonna get a double 9.5 LVL all the way across. So since this guy's already figured out, I can basically just measure down 9.5. And then this stud is not square on the bottom because of the stone. So I can measure up from the bottom from my short point. 54 5/8. Square to short. And that'll be our trimmer. I'll get you that. So the reason we're hand nailing stuff right now is we're waiting on the generator to fill up the compressor, and then we're going to turn off the generator because it's incredibly annoying. But we're just hand nailing for now to keep us busy. No point in standing around. So now we're going to set this header. Yep.
And then our LVL looks like 108 3/4. I put that there so we know which side is up. Watch out for that tree. Somebody put that there. So with these two bearing walls up, the next thing we're going to do, we basically are going to have two 2x6s. We're going to add a 1/2 inch ply because it gets a double LVL, which is 3.5 inches, then a king stud on either side. So that's our center point between the two. And then we're going to set our ridge. How the ridge goes, the ridge sits below the rafters, and then they get a bird's mouth at the top and a bird's mouth at the bottom. So we're going to take lunch, and then we'll figure out all that good stuff. Okay, so we had to figure out a few things. We've got one wall here, one wall here. Now my outside to outside dimension, 171 1/4. My rafters are going to sit from there to the top of this ridge. So what that's going to look like, so we're going to have a bird's mouth at the top and a bird's mouth at the bottom. So my run is 171 1/4. Let's see what that equals in half. 1 1/4 divided by 2. So that's my dimension from here to the center. Then I need to subtract half the thickness of my ridge, which is a double LVL. So minus 1 3/4. 83 7/8 is my run that way. So run, 6-inch pitch. My rise, 41 15/16. 83 7/8 run. So, but those, I can't just transfer that immediately to a rafter because now I need my height above plate on either side. So, how I figure that out, height above plate, super easy to figure out. I just get my pitch, mark it, get this square. I like it because I can measure from this spot. I can slide it on that, and I want to slide it until 5.5 is right on the corner because I want it to bear exactly on our 2x6 wall. And that puts our height above plate at exactly 7.5 inches. So, back to our original drawing. This dimension here, 7.5 inches. And our rise is from here to here, so I can add 7.5 inches to that number. And that'll be the dimension from the top of my wall to the top of my rafter. But since my ridge is dropped and the amount that we're dropping it is enough to make 5.5 inches fit there, we basically just need to drop it down so that way 3/4 over where this is 5.5 and where that squares over. So that dimension there, 5 7/8. So 5 7/8 is my height above plate at the ridge. So what that means, I can take my initial rise, 41 15/16, plus 7.5. That is my dimension from the top of my wall to the top of my rafter. Now I can subtract my height above plate at the top of the rafter, minus 5 7/8, and that is now my total rise from the top of my wall to the top of my ridge beam, and that number is 43 9/16. So we're now getting ready to set this LVL, which is basically going to come from where Ty's standing to right here. That's going to get a 4x4 on top of that, which will pick up the other end of the ridge, which will be coming from a rake wall that's going to come across there.
So then you're going to set it 1.5 inches, right? Yeah.
Plus 3 inches, 34 1/8 is our Is it just me or does it look like we're high? Height minus that. Yeah. 5'7". So we've got our template rafter figured out already and test fit. So now we're just going to trace this thing and cut 1,000,000 of them. All right, well, you might notice that was cut a little bit short. The reason for that is there was actually a zoning issue with this project. So the builder came up to us after lunch and basically said, hey guys, we got to stop. A zoning issue just presented itself. We need to resolve that. So that's why today got cut short. So I'm currently trying to find some work for the guys for the rest of the week. Hopefully this issue is resolved quickly, and that should be pretty obvious based on the next part. Hopefully this doesn't lead to any design changes or structural changes or really any change on our part. Hopefully it's just a formality and paperwork issue. We can get back to grinding. But yeah, thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.